Hey guys, good to see you already active in the chat due to my clickbait title. I'm sorry for that one. Um, but yeah, we'll discuss the title obviously later today. Um, and Donald saying, "Hey guys," in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I need to find a better opener, but I mean, this is just the best that I've come up with on the fly. Excuse my unimaginative choice of words. Hold me. I mean, so far there's not too much to hold anyone about, but it's getting there. It's getting pretty ugly. We'll talk about Bitcoin. High time frames, obviously, still not too terrible, but yeah, enough to talk about for sure. Before we start, big shout out to Bybit for sponsoring the show. Their links are in the description if you want to check them out. Really appreciate their support. And yeah, let me see what you guys are saying. Nice clickbait title, but no. I mean, I wouldn't like my straightforward answer wouldn't be that the Bitcoin bull run is over just yet. I mean, it's quite early for that. I mean, it's still at 30K, and I think the bull run would be over below 14, not at 30K. But then again, that would be a painful invalidation, if nothing else. But yeah, we'll talk about it. So high time frame wise, I mean the monthly chart has had better days. This looks absolutely disgusting. No matter if you're putting on the log chart or not, this is just ugly. I've commented on it a week or two ago. I wouldn't be surprised if this candle closed somewhere like this, and then the next candle was significantly red during its run, just based on the fact how this looks. I mean, could we just go straight back up? Obviously, but just like based on this, usually you get some follow through on these kind of candles. So like a dip on the high time frame charts to like lower down, but then again, like there's no resistance really that would be worth watching on the monthly chart, and there's only like support down at the 14K level. So monthly chart isn't as useful as it usually is. It's done me really well over the years, and nowadays in price discovery, and not so much, right? So high time frames, there's still a massive uptrend. It'd still be a massive uptrend if we just went back to 20K. Wouldn't be a problem for the high time frames. Would even be an uptrend if we revisited 14K, which I mean would be a bit excessive, and I'm not gonna speculate on that happening. But yeah, if it did happen, would still be bullish, right? So there's a lot of room, a lot of wiggle room for the bulls. Even if this nukes hard, bears are still heavily outnumbered. 20K wick not support on the monthly chart. No, I wouldn't. Like this is just a wick. For me, that's not too important. On the lower time frames, I mean, if you want higher supports, this is an area that'd be interesting. The 1920K area on lower time frames, right? So I mean, if you look at the monthly, 1920K, not too important. On the weekly, it is. So that's the area on the weekly time frame to watch. Still massively bullish trend. And if you're looking at this, right, like people are talking about massive crash, whatever is broken down massively. If you think about it, I mean, even on the log chart or non-log chart, doesn't really matter. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 candles of pure up, and then 2 red candles in between that weren't really down candles, right? So essentially we've had 14 green candles. Now we've had 3 that didn't even retrace the last 2 weeks of positive price action, right? So a massive pullback. I mean, it might seem like a massive pullback, but in reality, this isn't really too big. We haven't even retraced all the way back to this candle where we started going vertical, right? So I mean, this is the power of high time frame pullbacks, where you have massive run-ups like this, and then you have a pullback where everyone just pukes their guts out. But really, all this is doing is like retracing a tiny percentage of this move, right? So you can still see how strong this is. Even on non-log chart, you would expect, even if you're a super mega bear, right, and you're expecting the bull market to be over, which, like I said, I'm not. But if you were, you would expect like a pullback, maybe in the 26K range, and then at least a bounce back into the 30s, I think, for something similar to this. If you're a mega bear, and if you're bull, you're just waiting for this to kind of straighten out and then go back up, right? Well, at least there isn't head and shoulders yet. You don't need a head and shoulders for sell-offs. I mean, this didn't have a head and shoulders. Nothing of this had a head and shoulders. On the lower time frames, maybe. But I mean, the head and shoulders pattern, as much as I like to meme about it, and not necessarily the biggest factor of whether something is going to go up or down. It's not about the number of green weekly candles or not, but where the market is at. I mean, it doesn't really, like, even if you're ignoring how many weekly candles has been, you get a move like this and you get a move like this, and you're saying, okay, this is way too big of a pullback. In my mind, you're an idiot. Because if you're not expecting something like this, what the fuck are you doing in the market? I mean, you could expect something like this and it goes back up, and you'd still not be crazy. Like, people are acting like, okay, if this goes back to 20K, it's over. It's not the case. It's not even close to the case. It's just the only reason why people keep saying this kind of stuff, like this cannot go to XX price, is because that price is either the liquidation or where they're going to capitulate, or where they see their Lambo turn into a Fiat Punto or whatever, these, like a small car, whatever car you can think of that is small, turns into one, right? I mean, people always pull out numbers out of their ass where it's never gonna go, and most of the time it does go there, just because most markets move like this. And then, I mean, there's a good chance that any price you say twice, right? So far it's just a pullback. The pullback could go much deeper and still be bullish. And people coping about, okay, this cannot go this and this far, in my opinion. I mean, that's just cope. All it is. How confident are you that we're going to 26K at least? Not significantly, but I mean, I like the odds based on the fact that we've lost the support here on the daily, and this is the time frame to watch. It's the most important one, has been for a while. This has been the only real consolidation from 26 to 42K, right? So it was obvious that this was going to be interesting. We dumped into it. We talked back then, we talked about it on stream, that the first test was always going to hold. The bounce happened. We tested it again, bounced, and then broke through, right? And then found resistance in that area again. Depending on how today closes, we've lost that support, right? What does that mean? It just means that there's one big hurdle to overcome for bulls to push this higher. And I'd say there's actually two hurdles to overcome. One, the swing low here, and two, this resistance here, right? And until that isn't reclaimed, I'd expect for us to go to support. So I think there's a good chance this goes lower if we close below 32. Like, if we close at 31.8 or something, then I'd be a little bit worrisome for shorts if I were in shorts. But in general, if we close anywhere to like near 30K or below 30K, or maybe even at 31 or something, I'd expect to just trade to the next support. It's the path of least resistance. Doesn't mean we have to go there. It's just, I think it would take less to go there than it would take to break this out to the upside. Doesn't mean it doesn't, like, it cannot happen. It's just for me, it would make more sense. I would make more sense to trade in that direction than the other one. If you really want to get bullish on this, I mean, after a run like this, right, and after a parabolic break, which I think we've had, poorly drawn parabola, we rallied really hard, we broke the parabola, we're retracing now, right? And this price action reminds me of like long past pullbacks where you just go slowly enough that people just really, really badly, and then you pull the rug, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and you do it again, right? So yeah, 26K I think is more likely than upside, but then again, it's a bull trend in itself. Like this has been a massive bull trend, so I mean, take it from there. If you want to be massively, massively bearish, be my guest. But I mean, you gotta have an invalidation, and I think an invalidation would be close back in this today, or like a close back above it in the next week, 2, 3, whatever. In general, you as bear, you don't want to see a close back above 33, and because then what I think this is chop just sideways in here, and then this resistance isn't good enough to trade off of, so you don't want to be in a trade. If it does get back above 34, I think there's a good chance that it's going to start trending higher. And if it goes back above 39, I think it's just going to break 42, go to 50, 60, whatever. That's kind of where my mind is at. And I've been warning about this situation where we have market structure broken to the downside, right? And I still think that's the case. So you've had a high, a lower, a high, a higher low, a lower high, and that's not bad. I mean, that happens all the time. You should just set a swing low. I mean, this is still the case here. But the fact that we actually broke this to the downside after not having been able to take out the high here, that is in itself not the strongest sign of the market. I mean, if you get infinite bid again, which has a little bit, at least on Bitcoin, has disappeared a little bit, kind of moved over to ETH, then I could see this just hold up, and then what's going to happen is just going to slow crawl back up, and then at 34, it's going to be relatively obvious that we're going to go higher, and if it just kind of reclaims 39, there's going to be a massive squeeze play again. So is it over? Fucking clickbait. I talked about this, man. Just because you've turned in late doesn't mean you can abuse me in the chat. Donald's internet is as weak as this dip, is it? I think it was for a short time. Should be better now. I noticed that Bitcoin Cash broke its daily levels hours before Bitcoin, so the market did give hints before today's dump. I'd be careful with that kind of stuff because, I mean, it's just, let's say I hold a large amount of Bitcoin Cash and I see Bitcoin weakness, and I'm like, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to hold. And then I just dump my Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is going to break support, right? Doesn't mean that my assessment is going to be right? It just means that someone bet on the right side before it actually happened. So yeah, in general, I like this kind of development because it gives room to altcoins. I think it's still, like I said a million times before, you don't want to be heavy in altcoins while Bitcoin is just mooning. And I mean, most of you guys that have been chilling in altcoins have kind of experienced that fact. If you just held Bitcoin, you and the same is true for the pullback. I mean, altcoins might outperform slightly, but still, I mean, you're taking a USD loss. Where you want to be longing altcoins in general is when Bitcoin capitulates, because then altcoins capitulate on top as well, right? So what happens is you have like this Bitcoin, you have a slow bleed down, and at some point people are like, oh shit, I'm gonna get out. And then you get a sharp sell-off, and that usually gets bid on the altcoins, and then you get altcoins that massively outperform Bitcoin. Obviously, doesn't have to be the case this time around. I mean, we've seen some really strong names in the last few weeks, so maybe that changes, and we just get all coins do really well while Bitcoin just chops here, which I think in general would be pretty bullish if Bitcoin can just chop for like a few months, given the fact that after a run like this, chop is kind of the best way to digest it. And if it can hold something like this, like a run like this, by just chopping, that's impressive, right? Usually these runs end like this, pull back massively, and then at some point go back up again. If this just chops, I think that would be the most bullish outcome. Because the thing is, like, if this just goes parabolic again, the eventual crash is just going to be larger. But if this goes and builds a base here for a long time and then goes, it has something that's going to act as support if it does go back down again. So that's kind of the most bullish outcome chop is for Bitcoin. For altcoins, I think a massive move down for Bitcoin into support 26, 24 would be better. When alt season? That is a good question. We'll go over some altcoins, see what's up. I think in general, like I said just now, this is where you get alt season before, like a bounce, complacency bounce for Bitcoin, and then goes heads lower. This kind of area is where you get the alt season. So if you're thinking Bitcoin bottom is in and it's gonna bounce, complacency bounce on a higher time frame, I think that's the place where you want to switch into the altcoins. But I mean, altcoins have been like the majority of the altcoins have been incredibly weak. And people keep shitting on me for saying that alt season, like at least as we have known it, hasn't been. I mean, you just have to look at the older names. You have to look at the entire market, and you're seeing, okay, there's not an alt season happening. But something that has been happening is that you have different sectors that are performing really well, and those are definitely some to watch, right? I mean, if you're seeing a sector that is doing really well, you want to play that sector. I mean, it's the same in the traditional markets, right? You see GameStop mooning, and you know that's a Wall Street bet coin, or Wall Street bet coin. That's a Wall Street bet kind of play. Then you want to be looking at the other ones, right? It's the same in every market. And I mean, DeFi, for example, some of the DeFi stuff has done really well. And then you look at the other DeFi stuff and not necessarily at these ones. 37 or 26K first. 26. I mean, if you ask me like that, it's obviously why, like, everyone would kind of pick that side. Because, I mean, if you're saying 36 or 20, no, what do you say? It's 37 or 26K first, right? You'd be dumb to say anything other than 26, in my opinion. And I mean, just gotta look at this. The chances of this happening, 37. 26. The chances of a move, like the move to the upside, would be much larger than the move to the downside. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a balanced kind of question, because, yeah, this is obviously not 50-50, because the price would have to go up much higher than it would have to go low. You know, you get what I'm saying. So it's kind of an asymmetrical bet, which favors 26 first over 37. But in general, I think it makes sense to kind of expect support to be hit if we do close the day below 32. If we do some miraculous kind of push back into the daily close to 32, I think it's probably just moon time. But I mean, it's bouncing a little bit right now, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe, but like maybe it does something like this. And I think that would be in itself pretty bullish, reclaiming this on the low time frames. This resistance here would be pretty good. So something to watch, right? This area. This is kind of what we're struggling with and have been struggling with. And this is kind of what we've been breaking down from too. So that's why the structure failed. If it does reclaim that structure, goes back up, maybe we push back higher, right? But I mean, low time frames can be a fickle beast. You get a nice 4-hour candle after a bunch of 4-hour candles to the downside, and it's still just a bearish retest, right? So we'll see how this goes. But this is the area to watch, definitely. If you're watching the lower time frames, kind of look at this. And then if it can get reclaimed, there's some chance to the upside. Money will flow out of Bitcoin into stocks if Bitcoin stops moving up. Yeah, I could see that. I generally think altcoins haven't been doing like the traditional altcoins. I mean, if you look at Litecoin, just done nothing. The altcoins that are easily bought by people outside of the crypto sphere have been suffering, in my opinion, due to the retail frenzy in stocks. Just based on the fact that, I mean, if crypto does really well, it's everywhere. People that know crypto but don't really they're not really into it too much, but they have like a Robinhood account or PayPal or whatever, they can easily buy this stuff, right? But why would you be buying Litecoin if you see GameStop putting in 10x's after 10x's? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? So I think a good reason of why like these altcoins have been not picking up steam, even though Bitcoin's kind of been tumbling down a little bit, is because of that. I would be surprised if that wasn't the case. It's just, I mean, you have crypto natives even jumping ship, going into these traditional kind of or Wall Street bet kind of plays, just based on the fact that it's super volatile there, and the gains that you can make have been multiple times bigger than in crypto. I mean, even if you compare GameStop, and I mean, we can do this, BTC USD divided by GameStop, right? If you're looking at this, Bitcoin's been performing incredibly well this year, and yeah, I mean, look at this. If you've invested in GameStop, a failing company, over Bitcoin in the last, I mean, now it's almost 4 years, you break even still, right? I mean, this here is where Bitcoin traded below 10K, if I remember correctly. So yeah, when you're having this kind of action, crypto gets less and less appealing, just based on the fact that there's action to be had at other places. This is obviously an exceptional situation where GameStop is just multiplying like crazy, right? But it kind of shows you when the traditional markets go this crazy, the appeal of crypto obviously gets less and less, because I mean, we're mostly here for the money, right? Maybe with a little bit of a idealistic kind of background, but mostly there for the money. And then when you have this kind of stuff happening elsewhere, I mean, why not move there? So yeah, bro, you don't understand the market. Okay, AAV, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I know what the coin is, but I don't even know how to pronounce it. Yeah, so some coins obviously have been performing much better. I analyzed this a while ago. I was like, oh, if this breaks out, it probably goes higher. But if it doesn't, if it just chops through, it's probably gonna go lower. Stellar analysis. I mean, it kind of played out in the end, where it just broke through, didn't have the momentum, and then broke below. Yeah, eventually it headed higher. So I mean, that's not a bad looking chart. You can't say anything about it. This is pretty bullish, and I mean, this is what I mean when I'm saying some sectors are doing really well while others are not. Because I mean, the large cap sector, for example, this is just shitting the bed, right? This is not doing particularly well at all. I mean, if you're looking at it back for 1 year, right? I mean, start of 2019 was here, down 60%. Or I mean, even if you're looking back from it, like on a yearly kind of standpoint, you're just having shit kind of year, or have had, right? And that's been the case for most of these coins against Bitcoin, right? You're seeing shit year after shit year. That doesn't really mean they have to always go back down, right? But whenever people are saying old season, not specifying if they're just meaning DeFi season or something else, I have troubles with it just based on the fact that this is how charts have been looking, right? I mean, there's not a single bigger coin chart besides maybe Link, which has been trending up for years now, that has been doing particularly well in the last 12 months. It's just everything is just kind of shitty, right? But we're all obviously looking for the big upswing again. And some coins, I mean, if you guys remember, we talked about Fun, where it had a pump and dump and it actually took off afterwards. Some coins are doing pretty well, and I think makes a lot of sense. Something I've mentioned before is taking bets and then hedging them off with other ones. So you see a strong coin, right? You have a bullish setup for VeChain at support, let's say, right? So VeChain, talked about this before. We've talked about it multiple times actually. Down here at support, right? You see VeChain and support, you're like, I'm not entirely sure what all coins might go up, might go down. I'm not entirely sure, but this is at support. I want to play it, right? So what you can do is take a VeChain position and then hedge off some of that altcoin exposure by shorting another altcoin. I mean, Litecoin's been doing fine for that. You can, there was at resistance, can kind of take a short there, or like, I mean, plenty of Bitcoin Cash, same thing. Like there's been plenty of opportunities where you get clear bearish setups on altcoins and clear bullish setups on other ones, and then you can just trade them both ways. I think that's the best way to kind of play these. If you don't want to trade with leverage or short anything, I would keep sizing just relatively small on anything while you're not entirely sure where Bitcoin's going to go. And for some reason, you've been focused on underperforming markets. I mean, the channel is called Technical Roundup, right? If you want to have me talk about, I mean, is there any coin that I can come up with that's relatively new that has been performing well? I mean, if you're looking at Uni, for example, people been kind of spamming Uni. If you want to have technicals for this, I mean, I can't help you with that, right? There's nothing technical about this at all. In my opinion, anyway. Some people might agree, some people might disagree. But I mean, if you want me sitting here telling you anything about this based on candle closes and shit like that, doesn't work, because I mean, there's no history there. So there's no edge in doing technical analysis in here, in my opinion. So I don't really talk about it much based on that fact. There's a lot of other edges that you can have trading this, but I don't think you need to use technical analysis for it. So I don't know. It's just, if you want to do like fundamental kind of stuff, I'm not the guy to ask. It's not my kind of strength. That's not what I've been doing over the years. I mean, I can speculate that this is a trend that's been going on, so it's probably going to continue, but that's as far as it goes. A lower time frame, obviously, there's some setups there, but I'm not a lower time frame trader, so I'm not the guy to ask about that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like you're going to McDonald's asking for Burger King menu, right? It's just not what I do, well, what they sell. I can show you technicals on Uni on 4H in one day. Yeah, I don't really give a shit. Like I said, it's not from. I mean, what some people seem to be misunderstanding about like trading in general. It's not a team sport, right? If you trade a certain way, and other people disagree with you on how to trade, as long as you're profitable, you shouldn't be giving a shit, right? Because if you're kind of deviating from that plan and going just a complete off-course route, whatever, you're not going to be successful if you're copy trading other people. You're going to kind of look at this shit, make sense of it for yourself, and if you see something good, take it. And if you're not, then don't take it. If you're trading based off of someone else, you're not going to have a good time. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's people kind of trying to get fundamentals from a guy that doesn't really give a shit. Because for me, all these fundamentals are wishy-washy at best. I mean, from anything in this market. I mean, I'm not even the biggest fan of gold, and Bitcoin is supposedly the digital gold. So it doesn't really make much sense to me either, because I don't like gold in the first place. So it's kind of like, yeah, fundamentally, I wouldn't be interested in like any of this really. It's just me trading it, and if I'm really good at trading stuff that I know and that I have history with, and I'm not so good trading new stuff. So that's kind of my reason, at least. Enough of a rant. Is linked Bitcoin structure fine? Not really. It depends on the time frame. I think in general, we talked about this weeks ago. I back down here. I was like, this can easily double and it would still be a bearish retest. Now it's doubled and it's still a bearish retest, right? If it does go back above this resistance here, I think it can just go back into price discovery and double and triple from there easily. But as long as it's trading below that resistance, I wouldn't kind of stick my neck out. Doesn't make much sense to me. But then again, if you want to trade like the lower time frames, and I think this is actually a fine trade to take, you might get stopped out, but that's trading, right? Is trying to get a bid as close to support as possible, which is down here. So you have support down here, had support here, broke to the downside, retested as resistance, and broke through and went up, right? So what you would expect if this was bullish in any kind of way is that this was that this is going to act as support again, and that would make sense to me. Kind of looking for a stop loss down here somewhere, and then for much upside if you're kind of interested in this. The only reason why I don't want to take this kind of trade is because of the weekly. I don't think having any kind of targets beyond this makes much sense while we're trading above it. While we're trading below it. It's just not my, like, the kind of the distance that you have until the next resistance is essentially zero, because you're trading into weekly resistance. So I mean, something that you could do is target the upside of that resistance, which is 0.0008, which is roughly up here. But then again, it's not really what I wanna be trading. So Link's just been doing too much damage with this downtrend, where it's not easy to kind of look for longs on the Bitcoin pair. If you want to be looking for longs in general, the USD pair technically is still fine until we lose weekly support. So anything close, like if Bitcoin starts wicking to the downside, if this kind of goes back down to into the $15-16 range, I think that would probably bounce quite a bit. That's the best setup that I can find in general, and then just take it from there. Hope it doesn't find resistance back up here, because if it does, I would expect it to break down. But if it doesn't, higher, of course. Will the Dino coin still perform well in an alt season? I mean, it depends on what kind of alt season you're looking for, right? If you're looking for a traditional kind of alt season, obviously, yeah. I'm not entirely sure if we're gonna get that. But then again, like if the alt sector is only just chasing the new stuff until everyone's kind of bought it, and then just dumps off when something new comes around, and it dumps off again, then I mean, why be in the alt sector in general for more than just the low time frame trades, right? So what I'm in generally looking for in these trades, right? What I've been doing over the years in the altcoin space, I'm looking for opportunities to take XRP from 20 cents to $3. Those kind of opportunities interest me. I've traded those. I've traded multiple kind of bounces on XRP, But we haven't had big opportunities for a long time. I mean, XRP just being a shitty coin now, just based on the fact that they're getting sued, in my opinion anyway. But I'm looking for opportunities for kind of these gains, where you get like a low that stays in for a while, and then you get massive bounces of ×2, ×3, ×4. But even this is kind of like meh in the grand scheme of things, right? The big moves are those of coins like EOS, and I mean this isn't really different. EOS BTC on Bitfinex. Oh shit, this is an old trade and got absolutely fucked. I wonder why. Oh yeah, look at this. Even those kind of trades, and I didn't even take those when a friend asked me what kind of trade I would take if I had to take one. And I was like this, but I'm not liking it. But even this, like even these bullish setups at swing lows, right? You get absolutely fucked on. So this is rough. But these kind of trades are the ones that make your trading career in crypto, right? Where you take big swings. And sometimes, like for example on EOS, there's no higher time frame kind of reason for this to go. It's just that the cycle is fitting. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Like in general, there's no high time frame reason why EOS would go up again. It has to go, like the only kind of way that this goes is that the entire cycle picks up again. And I'm hoping that happens, but I mean, we're going to have to wait and see, right? I think if Bitcoin dumps a little bit more, we might be getting a nice swing in. Could you have a look at some other coins such as Curve, all DeFi or connected with DeFi? Sure, yeah. Curve. Curve was fun. And this is, by the way, this is the stuff where people kind of try to be like, oh yeah, you're talking about the wrong coins, right? I mean, this has trended down so much. It's still down more than 90%, right? Good old Curve. But yeah, I think in general, when you're looking at these coins, right, what you're seeing, why you skip ETH, I can look at ETH, but it's not really too interesting on either pair, really. Right now anyway. When you're looking at these, you want to see these breakouts hold, right? So with a lot of these DeFi coins, what you've had, and I mean, this isn't really a strong one. It's just, it's okay. With these DeFi coins, what you've had is a move below support, range there, and then back up again. And now you're kind of all leaning, right? And I mean, this is not the best look, but then again, it's not even reached the first support, right? So that's fine. And as a support, that's fine. What you don't want to be seeing is this being a deviation, because then I'd expect this to just utterly fail. So there's one trade to take, which is basically getting in here or near support, which is 500. I can't count the zeros right now. Might be 5,000 because Binance is just stupid with the zeros. But yeah, 500 or 5,000. I think it's 5,000 sats, this support down here. If that holds, I think this is all good. If you're looking at the USD chart, that obviously looks much better because Bitcoin's been going up. And that's kind of at support right now. Which makes the entire thing difficult because you don't really have confidence, right? Stream really choppy. Oh shit! I have a second kind of internet. I've ordered two because I've kind of experienced enough shit with the internet. I'll just try the other one later on for next stream anyway. It's 500. You sure? Let's look at it. See if it's 500 or 5,000. OBS should say if I'm dropping frames. Let me see. Oh yeah, shit. It's dropped a few. Oh, I hate German internet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is 5,000 sats. But yeah, sorry for the internet troubles. Seems to Germany is not the best for internet, and there's no way to fix it basically. Might have to reduce quality or something. We'll see for next stream then. But yeah, it's 5,000, and whenever you have these kind of divergences between support resistance, whatever, or support based on the Bitcoin pair and the USD pair, it's kind of rough to pick which one you want to be trading. In general, I like to trade whenever I have confidence between the two. That's kind of my favorite thing. When you have like the Bitcoin pair, this is the Bitcoin pair, you have a range, you break out, goes back to support, and then at the same time you have the USD pair here, and that's been trending and has had some consolidation in here, right? And then goes back to the consolidation. Then you have confluence between the two pairs, and that's an easy trade to take. When they're diverging a lot, it's a little bit harder to do. I'm up 200% from altcoins since BTC dropped from 42k. Yeah, some altcoins have been doing really well. I mean, Curve, for example, since the 15th of January, it's outperformed Bitcoin by 250%. That's a shitload. So it does pay. It's not necessarily based on any kind of TA, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, you could have played this as a range breakout. I said this is a range. And that's fine. But most of these just basically pumped based off of, okay, Bitcoin topped. We're going to diversify into the altcoins. Good time to change router. Yeah, I'm gonna nuke this internet, try next time with the other one. And if that doesn't work, might just have to go with satellite or some shit, see if that's better. Good time to change the country. Would be worth, man. Fucking taxes are shit, internet is shit, everything's shit. You'd expect Germany to have some of the best internet in the world. Yeah, it's just not the case. We have old lines and shit internet. It's always been that way. But yeah, someone asked for ETH, so we'll go over ETH and then just pray that it works. I have no idea what you guys are seeing or not. I just hope it works and cannot do anything about it. Can't watch the beginning of the stream. That yeah, you just kind of have to wait for the end of it. So with ETH, right? The reason why I'm saying like that's not really much interesting stuff going on. It's still trading in the vicinity of all-time high. There's not really any TA to be done other than this is gonna go up until it isn't anymore. And where it isn't, and I mean in my opinion is this. So this is the support that has to hold 900. Anything below would be really bad news. Any pullback in there would be an interesting buy, and that's kind of it, right? You cannot really say too much about ETH because I mean this is a double top. Very rare that those kind of play out and you just double top and then go down. Looks like a smiley. Just not necessarily how crypto likes to play out, so I wouldn't want to be bearish. It just looks bullish still. It's not just a retrace, as long as support holds, right? And like I said, support's down like down here, 700 to, which is huge, which is a huge range and obviously far away from price. But that's kind of how you, like when you have these big time frame uptrends like this from 80 to 1.4K, and if you cannot handle it going down like 20, 30, 40% to the next support, then you're trading wrong, in my opinion. So yeah, but yeah, I'm seeing some dropped frames. Not really enjoying the experience. Sorry about it. Not much I can do during the stream. Like I could try to nuke the stream, set up the other internet that I have. Like I said, I have two. But I'm not even sure if that would fix stuff. So it is what it is. Bullish on Starlink internet in Germany, man, would be nice. I mean, the problem with German internet is that the download is quick, but the upload is shit. So it's kind of like the upload, like the download being quick, isn't really helping you in any way, shape, or form. Okay, some people are having no problems whatsoever. Maybe the German viewers have none, and it's just racist. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's kind of my view on ETH. I could see this dip all the way to 800, 900 in here. I could see it break out here. Not entirely sure. Wouldn't want to take short here. Definitely not. It's just too strong for it. Some people have been longing this retest. It's a little bit aggressive for my eyes, but I can see why, just based on the fact that there have not been major pullbacks. So it's kind of difficult to get one. But I mean, when that fails, where do you stop out, right? And that's going to be difficult. Whereas if you swing down here, you can actually take a swing play. And if it just breaks out to the upside, it just breaks to the upside. It is what it is, right? These kind of plays, you either take spot and you're just hoping for it to mega moon, or I mean, you just take it when you get a nice support retest. Either or, in my opinion. It's not really a good play to just ape in. Then again, it's been a good play to ape in for the last few months, so maybe it's the same here. But I mean, this kind of support, like longing off of this support, I don't really see the point. Like I wouldn't, I don't know how to play a trade from there. I wouldn't know how to trade from 800 to 900 in that area. So that's kind of where I'm looking for. I'm not bearish. I'm not expecting it to hit, but if it does hit, I know what to do, right? But ETH still massively favored over Bitcoin. It's just performing stronger. And if you wanna do like a low time frame play, which is not a swing play, but just a low time frame play, it's kind of. Do you guys remember this last stream where we talked about this? And I was like, okay, you can long the first first test of support. That's probably going to hold, but you don't want to be longing the second one. And it's just straight up nuked through. And now we've had the same exact situation at the exact same level, which is here, right? So broke through to the upside and rated all-time high again, which is kind of funny. So took out all-time high, dumped, took it out again, dumped again. And it's kind of the same situation here. You have the support tested once. I wouldn't want to trust it a second time. That might just be me being too cautious. I mean, given the fact how close we are to all-time high, I actually like this kind of support. I don't mind as much as this one, but it's quite aggressive. But if you want to take a long, betting the lowest in here and then just trying to trade into the all-time high, I mean, it's not the worst idea in the world. You just got to be able to pull the plug quickly if it does go south. So kind of like betting on the low, being in, and then looking for strength into the all-time high. Kind of makes sense. So Okay, was Germany will be in the Starlink beta test after UK. Let's go. I hope that's gonna be better than whatever the fuck we have, because this is really annoying. It's not really like, I mean, the internet works and I don't really have the internet go down on me. It's just upload just goes choppy, so I can't really, like, sometimes I can't really stream well, which has been an issue in pretty much all locations I've lived in for the last few years. It's just Germany. Long resistance, short support, right? I definitely wouldn't want to short here. That is beyond scary. Like, I'm fine with shorting if this gets lost, this support at 1268 ish, but I don't really see a good reason why you would want to be shorting into this support. It just doesn't make much sense. Yeah, as long as that stands in the way, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot trying to front run the break. I think the Bitcoin setup is a better one. And yeah, this would have to show strength for me to even consider it. Let's actually color code this, or like put it away on the daily chart at least. But yeah, I actually like this 4-hour play. Look for strength above it, and if it doesn't show any, it's not the place to kind of take a trade. I was joking about that long resistance. Yeah, for the people that haven't noticed, when you're doing like sarcastic remarks or any kind of that stuff, right? German people do notice it is sarcasm, but the appropriate kind of response to sarcasm in Germany is just taking it completely serious. That's kind of how we respond to any kind of shade. I mean, you make a joke that is sarcastic, we reply in a deadbeat fashion, and then that's kind of how what we take pleasure from. That's our humor, if you haven't noticed. That's kind of how the Germans work. You always have to, like, I mean, it's just how I don't know anyone that doesn't just reply in like the most normal kind of way possible to any kind of sarcastic comment. You just do, like, you just reply in the most stupid way possible, which is just being normal, and that's our humor. It's just how it is. Long time since I've caught this show. Hi Don. Hi Baxi. I mean, today's been a stream of internet trouble. So you've picked a bad day, but yeah, I hope next time is going to be better. But yeah, Eve, like I said, I wouldn't want to be shorting it. What I'm watching on the low time frames is kind of this ascending triangle. I think if it does break below 1.1, it's gonna go to the high time frame areas we've been talking about, which is 900, 800, that kind of area. If it does break above it, above this, which is 1.4K, I think it's just gonna go and maybe double from there even. I mean, the market's been crazy. Why the fuck not? What do you think about longing the 1080 area in ETH? Let's have a look on it. 1080. I mean, you're basically logging the. I think this is actually fine to do. It's something that I like to do myself, where I'm like, okay, if it does start closing back below here, below the X, basically, then it's bearish, right? It would kind of invalidate market structure. So where's the best place to long? Exactly there, which is kind of sounds weird, right? But what you're betting on is basically a wick through and then a move higher where people get stopped out that are just playing too tight. Because technically bulls aren't invalidated if this just wicks it through and then just closes back above, right? So, I mean, that's not the worst area to look for longs. Just know that if you're wrong, and I mean, there's a good chance that you are going to be, there's a good chance that you're just going to take a massive haircut immediately. But then again, longing where pretty much where you're expecting, just right before the breakdown, on average, in my experience, pays pretty well. Just based on the fact that breakdowns take a long time in crypto. So it's not something like this where you do like a swing, you hit the bottom, and then you think, okay, this is probably going to break down here, and then it just does this. So what instead happens is it breaks down here and then bounces, fucks everyone over, maybe goes even down again, bounces, and then it just fucking dies. So it's not as obvious as, oh, you have lows here, they get tested 2 times, and now the 3rd time is going to break down. More often than not, you actually get a run of the low, you bounce a little bit, and then die, and then do it again. I might just take half my holdings and put them in fiat. This is all too stressful. So in my experience, in my humble opinion, when you're getting too stressed out about stuff, it's not worth being overexposed. Just how I've been kind of in the market, you just get health issues when you're stressed. And if you're constantly stressed because of price, even when you're not in a position, just based on your spot holdings, one, you're not going to make good decisions. Excuse me. One, you're not going to make good decisions, and 2, you're going to shorten your life, basically, right? That's essentially what you're doing. Stress is one of the worst things that I mean, occasional stress is fine, right? Being stressed from time to time is completely fine. But if you're stressed constantly all the time, you're not doing yourself a favor. Now, if you're saying, okay, this opportunity is too great to pass up on, right? You're saying, this is just crazy moves. I want to be exposed to the market. I'm going to do this for a year and then just put a stop to it and de-risk whatever. That's fine to do. In my experience, I've done that basically in 17. I was like, this is way too stressful. I want to take it slow once this is done. Didn't sleep pretty much. I mean, you guys can ask Cred about it, because I was chatting with him and he was like, what the fuck, when did you sleep? And I just didn't sleep for like this entire bull run, right? But what happens is the bull run is over, it goes down, and then you have another excuse, which is you want to protect yourself from downside risk. And then it goes down, and then you're bearish maybe during the down days, you make even more money. And then you're like, okay, I want to position myself for the next bull run perfectly. This is basically my history in Bitcoin here, right here. So that's why I kind of have a feeling for that. I want to position myself for the next bull run perfectly, and then you get bullish in here, and then the next bull run starts, or at least looks like it's gonna start, and you're like, okay, the bull run started, I can't take a break now, and it just keeps on going. At some point, your stress levels at that kind of level just lead to health issues. So if you're kind of overdoing it, it's not a long-term strategy. It's something that you do short-term. Just put yourself some concrete kind of cutoff date where you're like, okay, at this point, I'm not gonna do this to myself anymore. But maybe that's just an issue that I have. But for me, kind of having a lot of stress in my life didn't do me any good. Don't want to be autistic, but how did you sleep for months? So basically what I did in this bull run, right? I was 100% net worth in this shit. And what I did is I looked at price. I was like, okay, this is going to go up for the next 2 hours. Set an alarm for 2 hours, slept for 2 hours, woke up, watched the price, kind of did my analysis, kind of saw what price was going to go, what all coins were going to do, chilled, ate something maybe, was awake for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, and then slept another half an hour, traded some more, was awake for another 6, 7, 8 hours, slept another half an hour, and that like basically for an entire year. And then that was going into 2018 too, because then we got old season in from 17 to 18. And and then everything dumped, and I started taking it slower basically in here, and then during the sideways action. But I mean, I was just that's a self-destructing path. I'm gonna have to tell you. And my friends didn't really like what I was doing, because I mean, what you're basically doing is you're kind of taking this and saying this is important, everything else isn't, because you're not going to be there for anyone that needs you when you're kind of in that mode. So I swore to myself that I was never going to do that again. And I mean, I've kept to that even during these crazy times. Not worth it, in my opinion. Is Bitcoin a buy right now, or will it further dip? So back to Bitcoin. I think if we close below 32K, it's probably going to dip more. But if it does reclaim this area, it's probably going to go up higher. So that's kind of my answer to that. I know it's not as straightforward as, okay, is it going to go up or down? In my opinion, it's probably going to go down as long as it doesn't reclaim 32K. Yeah. So all your friends disapproved and left you, but Cred remained. I mean, Cred was right there with me. He had a little bit more of an orderly sleep schedule back then, but not much. So many are like you in 17 right now. Yeah, I think so. And I can tell you, only ends in heartbreak if you're not at least have a cutoff date. Because for me, I had friends tell me that I was being an asshole, basically, and that kind of, because I was known for being there for my friends all the time, and then I just disappeared on them for more than a year, basically. How can you get out at the right time? You don't have to. You can just take profits. Like this time around, I've just been taking profits. It goes up, I take profits, and get lighter the higher it goes. It's obviously not as nice as just selling the top, which I did in 17. But I mean, I don't mind just taking profit along the way. I never thought we would get to 40K, to be honest. So I'm more than excited about getting to sell there. And even 26K, I was more than excited to sell some there. And I'm still not sad about it. For me, like this is just yeah, it's getting in a crazy trajectory. Everything is the entire market, including the traditional market. So for me, I'm kind of happy with everything I'm getting, because yeah, I don't know. It's just, for me, it's all a little bit crazy. I don't know where this is gonna go. I feel like the entire markets, the global markets, are just losing their minds. And I mean, while it's fun to watch, I don't have to be 100% exposed anymore. You don't think we'll hit 100K this year? We hear you say you're surprised about 40K. I mean, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't count it out. I could see it go to 100K. Still be very surprised if it did, but I could see it hit 100K. Market's been so crazy that honestly, like putting any kind of price target on these things just doesn't make much sense, right? But I mean, if you're not ready to take an 80% haircut at any time, it's probably better if you take at least marginal kind of profits along the way. More people have problems finding good exit and a good entry. Yeah, it's kind of the same. I mean, I used to be really good at exits. This kind of stuff, like sentiment, doesn't really work anymore because the market's just it's just crazy, right? So my kind of favorite kind of exit criteria was sentiment, and that kind of nuked. It doesn't really work anymore. So I'm just looking at market structure and in general just selling on the way up, and that's fine by me. Don, is there some learning material on how to trend the kind of conditions that some altcoins are showing right now? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that question. So look, I mean, look, if you're trading these altcoins, right, Aave, for example, and I mean, if you're interested in these uni, whatever, sushi, coin, dots, all these kind of uni swap things. I mean, I know dots not technically, but you get the point. I mean, the newsletter that Credit and I write has been incredibly accurate on these. So, I mean, there is some TA to be done. For example, this is an older chart. It's a little bit more history, and you can look at the daily. And we've done TA here. Said, I mean, this is just the best support that you're gonna get up from here until proven otherwise, right? And then it quadrupled in price. That kind of stuff you can still do. And I mean, this is just this is trending asset, right? And I mean, then you just trade the trend, right? This is fine by me. I wouldn't bet the house on it. I don't really see like this could rug pull in my mind at any time. Probably it's not gonna, but you get the point. So I wouldn't bet the house on it. But taking smaller bets on these, not the worst idea, I think, to get comfortable with stuff that you're not comfortable with. So yeah, didn't we write a whole TR section on it? Yeah, we did. So. Altcoin USD are holding up better than back in the day, so I'm seeing this wrong. Altcoin USD is obviously going to hold better when Bitcoin is going up. It's just how it is. Remember when all DeFi coins were food tokens? Yeah, that's when I said it's pretty much all Ponzi's. And that's the other side of things, right? Is this still, yeah. This is basically what, I mean, this is now on Poloniex. It's not the entire history, right? Uniswap 10. It doesn't really work. Sad. But yeah, everyone was shilling this crap, right? A bunch of other like food tokens. And I mean, everyone was talking about food tokens and how they were gonna make everyone rich, and then just fucking rug pulled everyone. So can you please analyze AV? I mean, it's the same thing with most of the stuff that's just trending up. You set yourself in invalidation, right? And if you, I don't know if, yeah, I've removed it now. Back here, I was like, if it does go back below here, the trend's over, right? This is just gonna break down and die. That's still a good invalidation to me. I mean, if you've been in this from down here, that's still a really good invalidation, right? You're not gonna get shaken out. You're not gonna get wrecked. You're gonna back a good profit, right? In general, I would say this should now be the next invalidation. So what you do is you just kind of pull your invalidation up and up and up. And the moment you get invalidated, you get out and then reevaluate. So that's kind of how you trade these. And if you want to have like a tight invalidation that could get you out at a bad place, I think this is fine. Like, should not take out this. Oops, sorry. Should not take out this, basically. It can and still be bullish. That's why I like this better. But there's a slim chance that it's going to take it out and still be bullish, right? So that's kind of what you have to do. If you're a cautious trader, you've been in this for a while. You want to get out when it's pretty damn certain that it's bad, right? That used to be down here back when I analyzed it last. Now it's up here. So you backed this difference basically in the last few weeks, which is a 60% difference, quite big, right? Now, if you set your invalidation with, like, you're saying, okay, if it does close below here, it's probably done. And I mean, you're probably right? I'd say there's like an 80% chance that if it does fall back, the top's at least short term in and you're going to go lower. But there's still a chance that it's just going to chop here and then go back up. And then you're like, ah, fuck. But that's just trading. That's how you have to deal with, or what you have to deal with, right? Sometimes it just chops you out. There's a slim chance of that, and I think there's a very, very slim chance that if it does go back below here, that's just a shakeout. I think that would be pretty much a trend being over. So yeah, just look at this in general. You can say the same thing here. You're getting in off of this, right? And this actually has some levels to kind of look at, which is nice. Some high time frame levels. So it breaks out here. You get in on the breakout. It goes up. Where's your kind of invalidation? Your invalidation is on new lows. You're like, okay, this has to be the low. It goes back to support. Maybe you add some. Maybe you just chill. You're in from a little bit higher, but that's fine. It goes back up, right? And now it consolidates here, and you can say, okay, I'm pulling my stop loss higher, because if it does take this out, then I'm not entirely sure anymore if it's gonna trend up or not. And then it goes higher, higher, higher. Maybe in here you're like, okay, there's enough distance between these where I'm comfortable with saying that if it does go back down here, it's probably fucked, right? So you're kind of looking at this now. And then it goes higher, 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 breaks down, puts in a low, a swing low, takes out this low here, and you're like, okay, this has to have been it. So I'm gonna pull my stop loss from down here, or like my invalidation. You don't have to necessarily take a stop loss, and not a hard stop loss anyway. Take it and put it up here, right? And then it goes higher, 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 comes close to your stop but doesn't take you out, and then moons. And now you're in the same position where you put it a little bit higher. That's kind of how you trade these things. You're gonna get a massive, massive haircut if you get stopped out in the end, but that's the only way how you can kind of ride these with not too much risk. It's obviously gonna suck if you've been in for this for a while and you take a haircut of 70%. I mean, that's just mega sucks, right? But it's how do you trade these on a high time frame basis, because if you can't trade them like this, you're gonna sell in here or in here or in here before it ever gets that far, and you're missing out on these kind of gains, which is holy fuck. This is done incredibly well, but you get the point, right? So that's kind of how you have to look at these things on a swing trader perspective. Now, obviously, if you're trading this lower time frame, that's not for you. But then you don't have to necessarily look at the weekly time frame. You just look for daily invalidation. But the chance of you getting stopped or chopped out of these trades is much, much higher in this instance, the lower you go on the time frame. So that's kind of my advice for swing trading these. For some reason, like most people just aren't doing it anymore. I mean, it's fine if you just like the low time frame stuff. It's completely fine to do. There's some decent low time frame setups in here as well, where you have supports get run, and then you retest them and you go up. That kind of stuff works too. And then you have your stop loss down here and take a long position based off of that into the all-time high, that kind of stuff. Like that works too, and those are good setups. But it's obviously a little bit more likely that you get stopped out. Should I take my AV, which is now equivalent to 1 Bitcoin, to convert to Bitcoin? I mean, your question is basically, is this trend over? And I mean, my answer is, I don't know. I mean, so far it's looking like a healthy trend. But if it does lose support again, and I think that is pretty much the closest support, the most conservative kind of approach would be if it does start closing back below here. That's where you kind of peace out. And if it chops you up, it chops you up. That's how it is. So, but yeah, Bitcoin's bouncing quite a bit. So that's going to be an interesting watch later today. I'm going to be watching this, see if it can reclaim, see if we get infinite bid again. I mean, this has just been incredibly choppy. So we'll see how it acts. We will see how it acts. I mean, the thing is, like the last time we talked about choppy conditions, if you guys remember, was in here, where I was telling you guys that, I think I told you anyway, I need to rewatch my streams from time to time, that I was expecting it to go down after having lost support, which was, I think, the one that we had indicated back then was this one, or maybe even this one still, where it broke right here. It's kind of the same situation right now, where you kind of have, like, we broke support, bounced back above support, broke it again, and then consolidated, put in this bearish candle, retest candle, whatever, and broke to the downside. So something that we could be seeing is it goes back up here, runs into this area of resistance, and then I think the short would be if it does start losing the 4-hour support again. And if it just retests here and dies, I mean, just does that. I mean, technically bears are not invalidated yet. On-chain data is incredibly bullish, so might be an infinite bid scenario. Very possible, yeah. I mean, this has been holding up surprisingly well in this area. So there could be a large player emerging again in a few weeks' time, and with an average of like 30K that just held the price up by himself. It's just, I mean, it's how the market has become, right? TA has to kind of incorporate that nowadays, where you kind of have to kind of judge, okay, is this a weird price action? Is someone sitting there and just gobbling everything up? And I mean, we spotted it here. I mean, that was pretty obvious. I've not seen anything similar in the 30K area, but if I do, I'm gonna tell you guys. Similar question to the last guy. Where would your invalidation be for Link if you've held it since 17 or 18? I'm not quite sure if the current trend is over. Against Bitcoin or against USD? So against USD, there's this, right? So in my opinion, if you're bullish on the USD pair, where would you be invalidated? And in my opinion, that would be a close back below 15, which obviously sucks based on the fact that you're going to give up 25% of what you've made. But it's just how these larger time frame swings work, right? Close below here, I think bulls are completely invalidated, and it's probably going to go to 7 again. As long as it's above there, I don't really see a reason to be too bearish on it. And on the Bitcoin pair, I think bulls have been invalidated quite a while ago. It's bounced quite a bit, obviously, but it's still bearish per se. I think this is more of a, okay, it's going to be back bullish if it does reclaim 0.0008-ish. And yeah, that's just kind of my view on it. Lower time frame, you could make an argument that we're going to bounce here. And I think that's a fine play. So watching this play out is still fine. If it does start losing that support again on a closing basis, I think then it's in major trouble. So. Okay, I think that's enough for today. The internet is kind of annoying me. I'm sorry for all those issues. I hoped it would be better. It might just be that my city has troubles with the internet. Gonna have to look into it, see if there's any kind of work on it, and if there is, I'm gonna see how I can kind of work around it if I can. But yeah, thanks for coming by. Big shout out to Bybit for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate their support, and their links are in the description if you want to check them out. Like I said, sorry for the stream quality today. Not much I can do once I do start it. Like I haven't had any issues all day, and then they start the moment I start streaming. So yeah, not fun, but it is what it is. Thanks for coming by, guys. I really appreciate it, and thanks for sticking around even though you've had to watch a slideshow. So appreciate it. So yeah, thanks, and see you guys next week. Bye bye.